Powerful influencers like Penguinz0’s aka Charlie are helping build a narrative that's shutting people out of creativity. Whether he realizes it or not, his words are helping bully a whole new wave of artists back into silence. And that's dangerous, because when someone with that kind of reach says that real art only comes from a pencil and suffering, it doesn't just spark debate, it shames people. It tells them they're not real artists, that they're frauds, that they don't belong. And we're here to push back. So let's start with the real root of the problem. Section 1. The gatekeeping mentality. This whole just grab a pencil and draw attitude, it sounds motivational, but it's really just elitism with a beard. Like, thanks bro, I'll just quit my job, find 10 free hours a day and train like a monk to maybe one day earn the right to tell a story. Here's the reality. Not everyone has the time, the resources, or the ability to master traditional art. That doesn't make them lazy. That makes them human. Humans with different challenges, different schedules, different neurotypes. Telling someone to just draw is like walking into a crowded public school and screaming, if you cared about math, you'd teach yourself calculus by hand, with no calculator. Like, congrats on your discipline. Seriously. But other people live in the real world. AI didn't destroy art. It made access to creativity more equitable, more immediate, and more possible for people who were never allowed in the room. This isn't the death of storytelling. It's the beginning of letting more people tell one. And what makes this even wild? Section 2. The action figure irony. The guy saying this stuff is standing in a studio filled with mass-produced collectibles, arcade machines, action figures, vinyl toys. And look, I love that stuff too. But let's not act like you're shooting a masterpiece in a cathedral of art. It's a YouTube video with action figures and a claw machine in the background. I zoomed in. I searched. There's not one deviant art commission. Not a single print from an indie artist. Just Funko Pop energy. And the kicker? Those action figures? They weren't made by candlelight with a graphite stick. It's like microwaving chicken nuggets, then telling a restaurant chef they're fake because they didn't kill the chicken themselves. Brother, you're literally chewing on processed chicken while preaching purity. Section 3. AI is already in your toys. Let's talk facts. Those statues and toys, they were almost certainly designed using AI-assisted 3D modeling software. Programs like ZBrush, CAD tools, and design pipelines often include machine learning to enhance symmetry, optimize meshes, and even help with rendering. Manufacturing, done with AI-guided mold simulation. Marketing, AI predicts which poses and color variants will sell best. So yeah, while Charlie's preaching about the sacredness of human-made art, he's literally surrounded by things built with human-AI collaboration. But this whole real art thing, it's not new. Section 4. Art has never been pure. People act like the great masters of art did everything by hand, with no help, no shortcuts. But here's some harsh truths. Michelangelo got paid. He took commissions. The Sistine Chapel? A client job. He even hated painting ceilings. Most Renaissance art wasn't some divine outpouring of genius. It was rich guys commissioning religious fan art. That's what it was. The Catholic Church was basically the biggest art patron in history, and they used assistants, workshop apprentices, copyists, entire teams who filled in backgrounds and details while the master signed his name. That's like running a mid-journey prompt and saying, add hands later. Now look, I'm not saying every artist today has a cathedral ceiling commission or an army of apprentices. But what I am saying is, even the greats didn't work alone. Collaboration has always been part of art. Whether it's Renaissance workshops, comic book inkers and colorists, or production teams on animated shows. The myth of the lone suffering genius is just that, a myth. What AI is doing today? It's not cheating. It's giving regular people the kind of collaborative power that was once reserved for studios, crews, and yes, even Michelangelo. The solo purity idea of art was never real. And AI just democratized a centuries-old system of collaboration. Fast forward, photography was considered garbage when it arrived. Real painters trashed it. Digital art? Same thing. Tablets? Too easy. Filters? Cheating. Every new medium gets the same tired backlash, and every single time it gets proven wrong. You think Andy Warhol was painting every single soup can? Nope. He had a whole studio doing mechanical repeated prints, and it became high art. Sampling in music? Same war. 3D modeling in film? Same war. Motion capture? Fake acting. Now they're doing it again, just replacing the word with AI. This isn't about purity. It's about control. And the second they lose it, suddenly the art's not valid anymore. Please, art's never been pure. It's always been scrappy, collaborative, commercial, and constantly evolving. You are not defending art. You're defending a nostalgic fantasy of what you think art used to be. Sounds like MAGA, and the best part? You don't even know the history you're gatekeeping. So why is AI suddenly the line in the sand? Section 5. AI is a tool, not a threat. AI is just a sketchbook with more power. It's the digital napkin where you sketch ideas, test concepts, explore what's in your head. You ever scribbled on a post-it and called it a concept? That's AI now. But somehow clicking generate is sinful? It's still your idea, your vision, your judgment. The tool didn't dream up the prompt. You did. It didn't decide what was good or finished. You did. Artists have always used tools: pencils, paint, Photoshop, Procreate. Even the Renaissance masters used camera obscura to trace real-life scenes. Writers use keyboards, musicians use GarageBand, filmmakers use CGI and green screens. So why is AI the line in the sand? This tech doesn't replace creativity. It amplifies it. It's a fast, flexible collaborator that lets you prototype, iterate, and explore ideas faster than ever. And no, not every output is a masterpiece, just like not every pencil sketch is gallery ready. But that's not the point. The point is freedom, speed, access, spark. AI gives people a launchpad, a way to see what's possible before they commit the time, energy, and skill to flesh it out. And for many, that spark is everything. It's not a threat. It's the biggest artistic sketchpad humanity's ever created. And yet, somehow AI is treated worse than bad movies. Section 6. Tougher than Siskel and Ebert. Even when these guys admit AI art looks good, they still trash it. It's too good, too fast. It didn't suffer enough. They're tougher critics than Siskel and Ebert. At least Ebert watched the whole movie before handing out a thumbs up or thumbs down. These guys, AI could paint the Sistine Chapel, deliver their Postmates, fix their sleep schedule, cure their lower back pain, and they'd still go, mid. But it's not really about quality. It's about resentment. They don't want to admit it's good, because deep down, they don't believe you deserve to make something good that fast. They grew up believing that art has to hurt, that struggle is a prerequisite for beauty. It's this weird pain Olympics, where suffering equals credibility. And AI? It skips the suffering. So even if you prompt something breathtaking, their brain short-circuits. They can't separate good from how hard it was to make. That's not critique. That's gatekeeping in a Halloween costume. It's not about the soul. It's about scarcity. And when AI removes the scarcity, they panic. Section 7. If Charlie ran the Matrix. If Charlie ran the Matrix, he'd unplug Neo the moment he downloaded Kung Fu. No, you cannot simply download Kung Fu, Neo. You must spend 8 years bowing at the door of a crumbling dojo, hand-wash your master's gi, earn your white belt with humility, and maybe survive your first spar with Chad, the regional champion. Until then, let the agents kill you. With honor. But we've seen this fear of rapid learning before. Remember Short Circuit? That lovable 80s robot, Johnny Five? He read encyclopedias at lightning speed and craved knowledge. He wasn't cheating. He was becoming sentient. Or how about Chappie? A robot built for obedience, who gained consciousness and began to learn. He didn't earn his humanity through slow suffering. He got it through access, through data, through connection. And then there's Fantastic Planet, that trippy 70s French animated sci-fi film. In it, humans are either treated as pests or kept as pets by these giant aliens, until one of them gets access to a headband that teaches alien knowledge at lightning speed. He shares it with other humans. They learn, they evolve, and eventually, they fight back, not just with fists, but also with knowledge. AI is that headband, a tool that was never meant for us, but now it's in our hands, and the gatekeepers are scared. They're scared because it means people who were never supposed to belong in the art world suddenly do. And speaking of cheating, Section 8, the AI artist villain trope. There's this growing trend to villainize anyone who uses AI. Like we're all lazy, soulless, or too dumb to know what we're doing. They paint us like cartoon idiots. They don't know AI will replace them. Really? We do know. We're just not panicking like you are. We're using the tools on purpose. Because we see what they can do. Let's be honest. This isn't just criticism anymore. It's bullying. It feels like being back in school, getting picked on by the art snobs because your stuff didn't look like theirs. Because you traced. Because you used references. Because your hands shook. Now it's, you used AI. You, not a real artist. They act like they're better than us. More legitimate. Like they're the keepers of some sacred flame and we're just pixel heretics. And we're sick of it. And while they're building caricatures of us. Section 9. While you were ranting. AI is revolutionizing medicine. It's accelerating education. It's helping people with disabilities communicate, navigate, and create. It's helping scientists solve problems we thought would take decades. And yes, that's utilitarian AI, functional, life-saving, quantifiable. But here's the thing, just because something isn't utilitarian doesn't mean it isn't meaningful. Creative AI has value too. It gives people a new way to tell stories, to visualize their thoughts, to explore ideas they never could before. The same AI that writes code to cure cancer can also help a kid illustrate their first comic book. And both matter. But sure, let's keep whining about a Midjourney catgirl. Because God forbid someone find joy, connection, or confidence in a creative tool they weren't allowed to use. These folks are ranting about AI art, while the rest of the world is building the future with it. Let's talk about irony. Charlie and creators like him are the flattening of media. YouTube, TikTok, memes, commentary, UGC, they're the reason millions of people stopped watching Hollywood content in the first place. He didn't go to film school. He didn't work his way up through a studio. He turned on a webcam, built a following, and took eyeballs and revenue away from traditional creators. And I respect the hell out of that. But here's the thing. Now that another disruption has arrived, AI, he's playing defense for the very system he disrupted. Suddenly he's the gatekeeper saying who gets to create and who doesn't. Charlie, you are the flattening of media. You proved that the future doesn't belong to the elite. So why are you trying to shut the door now? You didn't ask permission to take over YouTube. You didn't ask Hollywood if it was okay to siphon away their audience. You didn't sit through 100 figure drawing classes to become a commentator. You disrupted. You flattened. And now you're scared something else can do it faster. And here's where it gets tragic. Section 10. Damage to the next generation. The worst thing about this rhetoric, it's making young people afraid of the very tools they'll grow up with. Instead of encouraging them to explore, experiment, create, they're being told they're fake, lazy, or destroying culture. But we've seen this story before. Boomers found Polaroid cameras and got told, that's not real photography. Young Gen Xers got their hands on cheap handheld camcorders, and some were told, that's not real cinema. Now millennials and Gen Z are using smartphones, AI, editing apps, and platforms like TikTok and YouTube to tell stories. And what do they hear? That's not real art. You didn't suffer enough. It's not just gatekeeping anymore. It's a cultural purge dressed up as tradition. Imagine telling a kid with a story in their heart that their creation doesn't count because they didn't do it with a brush or shoot it on film or spend 10 years suffering in obscurity. You're not saving art. You're scaring future artists away from it. You're putting locks on doors that tech just blew open. You're making kids feel guilty for being curious. Art isn't dying. It's evolving. And you're trying to guilt trip it into silence. Section 11. Lowering the barrier isn't killing the game. Here's the thing. Just because AI lowers the barrier doesn't mean everyone will flood the gates. Giving someone a piano doesn't make them Mozart, but it gives them the chance to play. If art is your passion, do it. Paint, sculpt, prompt, animate. Use whatever tool helps you express what's inside. No one is stopping you from making traditional art just because AI is here. Your voice is still yours. Your vision is still valid. Out of the so-called AI slop they mock, there will still be beauty, emotion, and stories that hit people deep. Yes, most, if not many, will be literal AI slop. Some will be messy, and some will be experimental. But then some will also be timeless. That's not the death of art. That's what art has always been. And the next great movement won't come from permission. It'll come from the people who dared to create anyway. Final section. The future belongs to the bold. We're not villains. We're not lazy. We're not trying to kill art. We're just tired of being told we're not real artists because we're using the tools of our time. Creativity doesn't die when tools evolve. It expands. It multiplies. It finally reaches people who were never allowed in the room before. People who are neurodivergent and think visually but struggle to draw. People with physical disabilities who can't hold a pencil. Elderly folks rediscovering stories they never got to tell. People with chronic pain, hand tremors, trauma. Kids who don't have access to expensive materials or traditional training. AI has given them a way in, and that's a beautiful thing. And no, I'm not saying this to play the social justice warrior card. I'm saying this because these people exist. Millions of them. People who've lived with conditions like cerebral palsy, MS, ALS, where holding a stylus or pressing buttons precisely isn't possible. People recovering from trauma or managing PTSD who find traditional training environments inaccessible or hostile. Some are blind but use AI to generate visual storytelling from text. Some are autistic and think in rich, vivid imagery they could never translate by hand. Some are elderly, rediscovering imagination after decades of being told, it's too late. AI didn't just give them a gimmick, it solved a problem. They couldn't draw, they couldn't animate, they couldn't make movies. Now, they can, whether they're disabled, disadvantaged, or just different from the traditional mold. Because the point isn't just disability, it's access, it's inclusion, it's freedom. But instead of recognizing that, critics have started using those exact people as pawns in bad faith arguments. They mock us for saying AI helps the disabled, while weaponizing the same point themselves. They twist empathy into irony. That's not critique, that's cruelty disguised as commentary. But instead of celebrating that, people like Charlie want to shame it, mock it, treat it like corruption. No, the future of art doesn't belong to the loudest critics. It doesn't belong to the snobbiest gallery. And it sure as hell doesn't belong to the YouTube elite. The future belongs to the bold, the curious, the experimenters, the storytellers. We didn't kill the old art system. It collapsed under the weight of its own gatekeeping. Then social media creators like you, UGC, memes, commentary, rose up and took its place. And now AI is doing the same. But you want us to feel guilty for it. The revolution already started. You just didn't like the sequel. And the revolution will be prompted.